Okay, it's all excitement. I'm sure you're ready to listen to the remaining of the story. Remember where I left off? Brer Rat said nothing. He just put the bunch on his head and went off. Brer Anancy took the plantains home. He roasted them himself, and then he called Mrs. Anancy and the 3 children. They all sat down at the table. "What have you for us today, Father?" said the smallest one. "I have 4 plantains," said Brer Anancy. "Look how nicely I've roasted them for you." Then he looked around the table. He looked at Mrs. Anancy and said, "1. Then he looked at his 3 children and said slowly, 2, 3, 4. Then he looked at the plantains again and said, 1 for Mother, 2, 3, 4 for the children. None for me." And he sighed. He put 1 on a plate and gave the plate to Mrs. Anancy. How nice the roasted plantains smelled. He put a 2nd on the plate and gave it to the smallest child. He gave 1 to the next, and the last he gave to the eldest. How nice the roasted plantains smelled. Then Anancy said, "Eat up your plantains, my dears. I'm very hungry. I've been out all the morning to find these for you. I'm tired and very hungry, but I will go without. You can have my share." But the smallest one said, "Oh no, dear Father, you must have half of mine." He broke the plantain in 2 and gave 1/2 to Brer Anancy. And the 2nd child said, "Oh yes, dear Father, you must have half of mine." And she gave Anancy 1/2 of hers. The biggest child said, "And you must have half of mine too, Father." And he gave Anancy 1/2 of his. Then Mrs. Anancy said, "And half of mine too, dear. You must be very hungry." She put 1/2 of her plantain on her husband's plate, and he ate all that was given to him. What's the moral of the story? How do you like the story? And if you would like to listen to more of these type of folk tales, please subscribe and hit the bell notification for updates on my latest videos.